Hey everyone, this is Keith Scott from out in Sydney, Australia. I'm one of the voices of Bullwinkle J. Moose. It's time to watch Relentless and Unstoppable. And so give it up for your main hosts, Douglas Kenny and Andy McPhee.
Hey everybody, this is Doug Kenny and welcome to Relentless and Unstoppable. We have another amazing guest coming on the channel today, so please hit like and subscribe. And after this episode, please stay tuned to the RNU channel for more amazing guests. Let's get this on!
Hey everybody, how you doing? Just a quick little share of why I started Relentless and Unstoppable. It was for one very simple reason, because of Doug Kenny. Nothing to do with me at all, zero. I was just coaching Doug, and he took on the coaching and mentoring, and he made all the changes. He took all the suggestions from his parents as well as my coaching, but it was all about Doug, his breakthrough and his weight loss, his willingness to accept that he is dealing with high functioning autism and other issues, but he's never quit, he's never given up. So we did one interview with him to share his story, and then we decided to start interviewing other people, and Doug has now taken over the whole channel, and he does all the interviews, he runs everything. He's just an amazing young man. So RNU was born from simply what an amazing young man Doug is, and his story needed to be shared.
But but we all managed to find work, and eventually I think he was booted out of the local as the business rep, and things loosened up a little bit. But what really helped me was being a Steadicam operator. So in the early to mid '80s, I started getting doors open because I did Steadicam, and that opened a lot of doors. And plus, since I had been operating on every day for like 4 years on this Roar film, I was a really accomplished operator, because when you can shoot wild animals and give it the polish of a finished feature film, your instincts are really sharp. So you really, and if you can land on compositions on the fly, and it's going to be different every take, it really builds your intuition, it builds your response time, it builds your ability to be a really good operator. And learning the politics was a whole different thing. Learning how to work with actors and different directors and stuff, that was a whole different thing. But right after we did Roar, in 1980, I got a job as the A operator and Steadicam operator on a film called Waltz Across Texas, and that was a great experience for me, because the director of the film was a guy named Ernest Day. And Ernest Day was the camera operator on Lawrence of Arabia and Dr. Zhivago. So getting to operate for this guy was huge, right? And we got to be really good friends and stayed in touch. And then he came back 4 years later or 3 years later and DP'd a movie called As Summers Die, and he asked for me to come to operate for him there. But Robert Elswit was the DP for this first movie I did that I was the first the A operator in Steadicam, Waltz Across Texas, and that Ernest Day had directed, and Robert Elswit went on to do great things. I mean, he ended up winning an Academy Award for There Will Be Blood, and did huge. I think he's the only American DP who ever shot a James Bond movie. I forget which one he did, but I know that he did one. So there was a lot of great benefits, and so it was really worth working on that film. And that's kind of how I broke in. But you know what? Everybody's got their own story of how they got into the film business. There's no sort of straight path that anybody works on. Everybody's got some adventure of how they got into doing what they're doing. And then all during the 80s, I worked as a camera operator and Steadicam operator, and then in the late '80s, I was working on a show called Tour Du, and it was a TV series, a Vietnam TV series, which incidentally was probably the reason why I was hired to do '84 Charlie Mopik, the first feature I shot. And I was the operator on that. And again, Steve Posey, I keep on. He was the one who got me hired on that, and then he started to direct on this series. So they asked me if I wanted to move up and to be the DP on that. So I did, and then I never looked back. But for the first 9 or 10 years, I couldn't give up Steadicam. So even though I was DPing shows, I do all my own Steadicam. So I just didn't want to give it up, except on some bigger movies like I did a movie called Good Old Boys, and it was Tommy Lee Jones was the director. It was the first thing he ever directed, and so he hired me because he saw my reel and he liked some things about the reel, and I had a Steadicam operator. My A operator that came on also did Steadicam, and that was one of the first times I really kind of stepped away from Steadicam work. So that was it.
That's an amazing story, man. So, did you meet any of the Sesame Street cast aside from the Muppets when you worked on Grouchland?
Not really, because there wasn't any Sesame Street characters there. I mean, none of the human characters at all. I don't think were there, because I don't remember. I don't think there may have been a few. I don't know, remember. But it was mostly no, it was all.
It looks like, from what I'm reading right here on the internet, it looks like there were like maybe only a few people there.
Yeah, no, it wasn't really. It wasn't about. They weren't trying to tie it to the television show at all. I think they were just trying to make it his own movie. Mandy Patinkin, who played the bad guy. I mean, he's a major movie star, and so he was. And I think they were trying to. I forget some of the other cast members, because Muppet movies always have some ringers. They always have some big stars as ringers, and I forget who was in both that, and I also forget we had some ringers in Muppets from Space as well.
Yeah, I think there were. Yeah. Did you hear that Bob McGrath died last year, the Sesame Street cast member?
That's a shame. Oh, wait, I think I did. Yes, I did.
He lived to be 90 years old.
Imagine that. Isn't that great? And that's really fantastic. But yeah, they're all getting older now.
Yeah, for sure. Fire away, Brendan.
Do you have a favorite camera that you like to work with, or a favorite lens, or?
No, because you know what? It's not like you have a favorite lens or camera and you apply that to every movie you do. Every movie, depending upon what you're trying to do with the movie and the look you're trying to do, you find the tool that's best for that.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and back in the film days, it wasn't even about the cameras. The cameras were just something that the film ran through. It was all about film stock and the lenses. So that's what you made your decisions on. You made your decisions based on the film stock you were using and the lenses. Well, nowadays, with digital cameras, you almost could say that the digital cameras are the new film stock, because the digital cameras, can apply a look, and they all are just very distinct in what their applications are. The sensors are different, so the sensors are sort of like the film stock, and then your lenses are still the lenses, so you still are choosing. So you want to choose things based on those parameters, and we certainly did that with film, because that was the most important thing. Shooting film, it was about the lenses and it was about the film stock. But I mean, for convenience, sure, everybody loves and still loves shooting with Panavision, Panaflex camera and Millenniums and stuff like that. And Arri still has good cameras. They're all their the film cameras are great. But also, the new Venice 2 is just an incredibly crazy good camera. So the Sony Venice 2 is great. I love the Venice camera. But I also think the Alexas are great. So, they're all really great cameras. And especially the Arri 35. Great.
Yeah, that sounds very cool. Cameras are fun to use. I love photography.
Yeah. And you choose all you choose all that stuff based on your tool set that you want to use. It's not about, I mean, you can make any camera and lens look like what you want it to do, but that there are certain properties, inherent properties in the cameras themselves, the sensors and the lenses that really are going to give you something unique, or at least something that's easier for you to use to get the look that you want. You can probably, depending upon the look you want, you may find it easier with one set of tools as opposed to another.
Yeah. How'd you film the tug of war scene in Grouchland with the blanket?
God, I'll have to remember that. I don't know if I can remember that.
Oh.
But I think I do know that. Remind me of what happened in the scene.
I think Elmo, if I remember right, spilled some orange juice on the blanket, and she had a tug of war, I think, with the character named Zoe, and their friendship ended after they played tug of war with the blanket and broke it.
Right. I don't really remember. But I'm pretty sure what they did is they probably attached the Muppets to the blanket, had a wire running through, and they may have had people off camera on the opposite ends providing tension on the blanket. It was all, it's like anything else, it's all smoke and mirrors, hiding the things you don't want people to see so that it works for people who, and you just got to take your hats off to the Muppeteers and how that they can move and manipulate their Muppets to get those human traits that they are so good at giving the characters that they're working. It's just amazing how they can do that stuff.
Gee, that's all we have for Relentless and Unstoppable. So tune into the next episode to hear more amazing stories from amazing guests. This is Keith Scott from Sydney, Australia saying so long, and I'm smarter than the average bear. Gee.